Hello, everybody, indeed. Welcome to Metanorn's mini talk for the anime series Gargantia on the Virtuous Planet, also the Japanese name Suisei no Gargantia, for episode 1, Castaway. I'm Jrow, and Foshizzle joins me.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
And for people that haven't heard our previous meta talk for Eureka 7 AO or Robotics Notes, instead of writing a blog, we like to do a little podcast. We used to do some writing, but we kind of got away from that as we had more people join us, put more thoughts into the actual podcast, and we just sort of do a blogcast on episodes of the series. And Gargantia is the series that we'll be doing this season, and talking about episode 1, Castaway.
Yep, another robot series. Talking.
Yeah, that's a rule of our mini talks, is that it has to have mecha in it.
Yep, some type of robot.
And robotics notes. And some seasons where there wasn't even mecha. Mm-hmm. Some vitals about Gargantia on the Virtuous Planet. It's a 12-episode series by Production IG. Direction has been done by Murata Kazuya. The story is by Urobuchi Gen of Fate Zero, Psychopaths, Madoka fame. And
everyone's hyped about that too right now.
Yeah, Butcher Gen. People like him. Some aren't always on his side, but he's popular. And the character designs are by Hanaharu Naruko, who has some hentai under his belt, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
All right.
So the first episode is a tale of two halves. The first half with the Galactic Alliance of Humankind battling the Hideaos. What we see is sort of like a plant-like species, and it's a threat to the paradise that is Avalon. And Production IG really, in my opinion, knocked it out of the park with great CG work and great hand-drawn animation for this first battle sequence.
Oh yeah, it was cool. Like all the lasers and stuff going off. You have missiles flying. You have all these robots, and they're setting up this giant, like a weapon. It was pretty neat looking.
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, the Menstream attack, which kind of looks like a star floral shaped attack that had different ships working together to unleash this attack on this sort of plant-like species. It looked really cool.
Yeah, and I noticed that the robots, not all of them are the same. So like you said, different ships working together. So it kind of almost tells you that these, maybe in the future, everyone's just scattered. There's not very many places to live because these aliens obviously are destroying everything.
Mm-hmm. And the main character of the series is known as Leto, and basically the idea that me and Fosh kind of have gotten from this character is that, pretty similar to Sagura Sosuke from Full Metal Panic, the guy is really ingrained as a warfighter. Chamber, who is his robot and AI partner, mentions that he's achieved 145 hours of military service time, and that you can go to Avalon, this paradise, what they call paradise, and you can sort of stay there for 4 weeks, and you kind of get the sense that he doesn't really care about that now. He's gotten so much into just being a military fighter.
Right, he just doesn't want to live a normal life. He's, all he's known is like you said, like Sosuke, just fighting and fighting and fighting his whole entire life. Mm-hmm. So to go from that to everyday slice of life kind of thing would be not very interesting to him. It's not what he wants.
Now he's got to get out there and fight and save humanity, the humanity that he knows at least.
Right.
And going into the second half, since it's not really that much of a spoiler, it's more of a shock to him than it is us, the viewers. But Leto falls through a wormhole, and along with Chamber, they fall to Earth. And what's really interesting to me about the way Earth is portrayed in this anime is that it's almost kind of mythical to the characters that we had seen all in the first half.
Yeah, it's like almost like you said, mythical. It's this thing of legend. You don't really talk about it in the future. So to me, I almost threw in a little bit of time travel in this too, because he doesn't know about Earth. And he's kind of like, what the heck's going on? There's no advanced technology. They're on a planet. The air is breathable. All this stuff like that.
And it's kind of interesting. We'll see what happens with the time travel element. That sounds very Eureka 7 AO-ish with that stuff, and I don't know if I could take that again. It's very
Yeah, that's
confusing.
true.
That although they dealt much more of alternate reality junk in that series,
Uh-huh.
but Leto wakes up from a 6-month cryostasis, a cold sleep. It's kind of funny. He's just sitting there and he's able to turn on his display and see all these humans just sort of trying to break his robot, and see guys with chainsaws and stuff trying to break the mech.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty funny. Just trying to, like you said, trying to break in, trying to find out what this thing is. Because apparently, to them, they found it. They have no idea what it is, which tells me robots aren't existing in Earth right now. So that's kind of where I got the
Mm-hmm.
time travel idea from. Just
Yeah.
being a foreign item from them. They're like, what is this? And even he
Mm-hmm.
thinks the same thing. They're using these primitive tools to break in. He's like, it's not gonna work. Like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what time period. That's
Hmm.
probably something that they're saving for a big reveal in the
Right.
series, is whether they're, in present time or in a distant future or past. Um, so Leto actually jumps out of his mech and kidnaps Amy, who we know is the main girl in that bunny squirrel-like character. I don't know. Does that have a name?
I don't. I think it did. I thought like Evie or something, or Eve or something.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. It's
I
a
forget.
it's a Pokemon. It's some kind of Pokemon,
Yeah.
and basically runs around the building trying to buy some time for Chamber to read its surroundings and analyze the language. And there's a funny moment in that scene where he's still analyzing the language, and what she just said relates to reproducing with your mother as well as fresh excrement.
Yeah. And he's just like pokes her in the butt later, like keep talking, like 'cause he's slowly developing the language. But I heard a lot of people complaining about when he's in the robot. Okay, he's speaking Japanese. Okay,
Hmm.
everyone else on the outside speaking Japanese. So it's like it's like clearly, like you said, from his perspective, it's different. From our perspective, we're supposed to understand both sides. So
Hmm.
that's like a tiny thing, but that's always an anime though. It always happens.
Yeah, and I watched the Crunchyroll. Yeah, I had a problem with that when Space Bros first
Hmm.
went to America. Kind of, it's just after a while, it's just dubbing, so
Yeah.
that instead of having to constantly translate something from English to Japanese, they
Oh
just have them
yeah.
naturally speak Japanese. But it was kind of funny in the scene where Amy's being carried around. You can hear her yelling stuff, but at least in Crunchyroll's
Oh
version, they
yeah.
chose not to subtitle it.
Yeah, that's true. And
Uh, I,
even when she was screaming, you couldn't really understand her. I didn't hear
yeah,
it was didn't hear that. It doesn't sound like Japanese to me.
Yeah, it just
So
made there was just
that's kind of
some
cool.
nonsense. It wasn't quite the language from Hataraku Mal-sama.
Yeah.
The pound, just some strange
Yeah, that was funny.
devil language was really funny. That's another show. And then we see at the end the big reveal to him as he goes outside and he realizes, oh, this is actually Earth.
Yeah. So, some solar system on Earth, because they had earlier chambers trying to find a pinpoint where he was at. He couldn't find anything. Which tells me again that the technology maybe is not as advanced as he wants. So he can't find a landmarker basically to tell him where he's at.
Hmm.
So, but also we don't know where Eden or Avalon is. Maybe like billions of miles away from about light years away from Earth. So,
Hmm.
or another galaxy altogether. So,
Yeah, they called it random coordinates at first when
hmm
he was sort of spinning out of control. So let's go ahead and talk about the partnership between Leto and Chamber. It's a pretty interesting one because Chamber, the whole idea behind it is to help Leto achieve success
hmm
through all means, and I think it's kind of pretty interesting, especially in comparison to like I keep bringing back Eureka 7 AO, but they had Georg in that, which
hmm
is kind of some AI that was talking to it, but it didn't feel nearly as personable as Chamber does.
Right. With Chamber, it feels they had the same thing in Full Metal Panic. Sosuke had his little AI would tell him certain things.
Hmm.
Even if you go to like real movies like Iron Man has his AI tells him things.
Hmm.
So for Chamber and our main guy in this one, it feels a little bit like they're more full on panic. He doesn't really he's he gives off some emotion, but he's not. I don't know, I think it's more like big brother, little brother type thing. He
Hmm.
looks to Chamber for advice and help, but at the same time, they're just partners to
Hmm.
him.
And it's not like going to be like a Skynet situation because there's one moment where he
Hmm
awakes from the cold sleep and basically asks Leto, I need you to make a decision on this.
Yeah.
and it's
Like,
also
yeah, you're the only one that can actually exit the robot, so I need you to do your part of the job.
exactly. Yeah, it's kind of a interesting duo,
Hmm.
and it's voiced by Tomokazu Sugita. So if you've heard some Keon or anybody like that,
Yep.
surely,
Yep. Or JoJo,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So basically, he has an AI version of JoJo in his computer, in his robot,
Hmm.
which is pretty good. So I'm interested in seeing how long it goes because you mentioned something before. His power users are not that high, so it's like I could foresee later down the road where he has to, basically, put him down because, you know, they've run out of power, so Chamber can't communicate with him anymore.
Hmm.
So,
Perhaps.
but unless they figure a way, I think, to power him up, maybe.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that find
Yeah.
some way on what planet Earth is right now to find
Mm.
some sort of energy source for him. So let's talk about some of the other characters in the show. We have Amy, who's voiced by Hisako Kanemoto.
Yep, she's my favorite.
Hmm.
You might know her from like Kotora-san as Kotora, or you might know her from Squid Girl or Precure. She's done a lot of things lately, a lot of
Hmm.
emotional roles. So I'm curious to see what kind of role this is. If it's going to be a slapstick comedy role, is it going to be, is she a main love interest? I don't know how they're
Hmm.
going to do this.
Yeah, that'll be pretty interesting. And we don't have an idea of exactly what the full group is yet.
Hmm.
They just kind of seem like scavengers that found this thing and they're breaking it apart. We don't really know
Yeah.
all the stories yet, but it'll be interesting to see what comes of her development with
Hmm.
Leto as I would assume the female lead of the show.
Right.
And another female character, Bellows, looks pretty similar to Yoko from Gurren Lagann.
Oh yeah. It's got the same set. She's got the shorts, long socks and everything. It's just
Hmm.
red hair, obviously, in a ponytail. So she's definitely one of like I think two other girls that are gonna be the fan service girl. I
Yeah,
did
it's
see
like
on the list there's like four different girls that are like, pretty developed.
yeah, there's a quick scene of Bridget where she wakes up to answer the one guy's phone call and looks like she was wearing like some sort of nightgown or something,
Oh yeah.
some frills to bed.
Yep.
But
And then there's another girl and like she's I don't know what she is, but I guess she's a friend of Amy and she's kind of like that too.
hmm
So yeah.
but yeah, Bellows looks like Kyoko with a tan.
Hmm.
Um, and I would recommend watching Crunchyroll has the 1080p versions for release, and generally it's not a significant increase from 720p to 1080p, especially with a TV version because it only air at max 720p. But this is a really great looking show and one that if you what issue is hard drive space much anymore? I mean, people have terabyte drives. You could just
Right.
download the 1080p version. It's going to be a big file. I've seen some groups that have released it up to like 700 megabytes or something.
Jesus.
Very high encoding, especially from the first half of the show. But the episode as a whole looks really good.
Yeah. The only complaint I would have so far with the episodes is it's very word heavy. So
Hmm.
basically, if you don't pay attention, you might miss a few things here and there.
Hmm.
In the first half, anyway. The second half is more. I felt more like slice of life, fish. Well, no, not really, but I mean exploration maybe would be the better word for that.
Hmm. More like a fish out of water
Hmm.
for Leto. And we also didn't mention his ray gun thing.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it's like a heat gun. That looks
Oh
really
yeah.
cool.
I remember telling my brother about this when the main guy, he's got blonde hair, he's
Hmm.
banging on the robot. He looks a lot like Sid from like the Final Fantasy series. So for me, this feels like a big giant Final Fantasy.
He definitely fits the bill of
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
mechanic like guy.
yep. It's pretty cool. I like that. Definitely like the world they're building.
Hmm. Yeah, which is some criticism toward people that aren't so high on Urobochi again is world
Hmm.
building,
Right.
as we found out from some people that talked about Psychopaths. So, overall thoughts for the episode. I thought this was a great first episode. Rock solid. I loved the action at the beginning. I loved the whole second half that we talked about Leto sort of seeing these people trying to destroy his mech and basically the discovery of Earth. And I think the Earth thing is interesting, and the time thing that you've mentioned, Fosh, is also of interest.
Yep. But I think for me, the episode is, like you said, it's all good. Animations, everything's solid. Voice work, everything's that's good. For
Hmm.
me, it's I want to see where the story progresses. In my mind, I just can't help picture that the aliens that you fought are probably gonna find Earth. Maybe
Hmm.
he's gonna have to fight them or figure out a way to fight them with limited technology they've got. So it's
Yeah,
like, it's gonna be that's probably where you're gonna get your character deaths and all that stuff towards the end.
because who knows how far the Hideals, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, how far they stretch
Right.
across the galaxy,
Yeah.
and if even other people from the Galactic Alliance even try to find them.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
We sort of get the sense that Kugel's dead, but you see him go away. You don't see him die, so
Right.
you
So
kind of
I wouldn't be
wonder.
surprised if he shows up like an older version of him shows up and like we need
Yeah.
you to come back and you figured a way to get home, but it's not exactly 100% safe.
Hmm.
I can say that.
Yep.
So yeah.
And I believe that's all we have for episode 1. It was a great first episode, and definitely looking forward to more, and looking forward to talking about this. Hopefully we'll have other people join us for these podcasts as we progress through this season. Single core show, yes, for Gargantia.
Yep.
So for Fosh, I'm Jrow. We will talk to you next week.
Later.